Hi, I'm lifestyle producer Lizzy Laycock, and I'm back with episode 5 of QuarantinEd, here to bring you this week's roundup of news, interviews, tutorials, and just a bit of fun. So on this episode, Caroline interviews executive producer Carla Pennington on what it's like to produce during lockdown. I'll give you some tips and inspiration for working with clay at home. Nate, Adam and Mark investigate the world of birdwatching. And a performance from Edinburgh-based band, Ninth Degree. And here we have Cerys speaking to 4 different students from 4 different countries about how their next university year is going to pan out for them.
Coronavirus has meant that the future years of higher education will look very different to what we know, and over the past few weeks universities have been revealing how they're going to deal with next year. The University of Manchester told its students they will be putting the first term's lectures online. There will be no face-to-face lectures for the whole year for students at Cambridge, and our very own university, Edinburgh, told us that we'd all be back on campus in September doing a mix of in-person and online teaching. With online exams, disrupted year abroads and virtual lectures becoming the norm for British students, what does the next year at university look like for students in other countries? I've spoken to 4 students from across the world about what their next term has in store for them.
Hi, my name is Rebecca and I'm a student at Würzburg University in southern Germany. To be honest, the situation concerning the coronavirus in the next academic year is not really clear. What we know so far is that the winter term will start late at the beginning of November instead of October, but if we stick with online classes or if we go back to being at uni, we don't know yet. Either way, study life in Germany will stay non-normal for a while, I guess.
Hi, I'm Neve. I study at Trinity College in Dublin and I'm currently in Vienna as part of an Erasmus year abroad. In Trinity we usually have a Freshers' Week at the beginning of September, but it looks quite unlikely that we would actually start back that soon. However, the college hasn't confirmed anything yet, so we don't know. What we do know though is that all of our large lectures will be streamed online at least for the first semester of the coming year. But unfortunately, the year abroad for the students in my course in the year below looks extremely unlikely now. I mean, Trinity hasn't made an official announcement yet as to whether Erasmus exchanges are cancelled, but other Irish universities have already cancelled them, at least for the first semester of the coming academic year.
My name is Tafadzwa. I'm a PhD student at OHSS in Paris. Deconfinement has started here in France, and so for most people, life is very slowly starting to look normal, except for students, because students here are still stuck at home because universities will only officially reopen as of September. We don't know what that will look like, we don't know what that will mean for most students, whether it will mean going back to classes or not, but for now all we know is we need to wait until then, and then we'll know what our future holds for us.
Hi, my name is Hannah and I've just graduated from Connecticut College and I'm currently living at home in Burlingame, California. Higher education in the United States is undergoing a reckoning. For years, students have paid extremely high tuition for the promise of a good education, job opportunities, and memories that would last a lifetime. Coronavirus is changing all of that, and college and universities throughout the country are responding differently. For example, my college, Connecticut College, has announced that it is reopening this fall, whereas other larger universities like California State University have announced that it is doing the fall term online. However, prospective and current students do not want to pay high amounts of tuition for an online education. Therefore, moving online could jeopardize the ability for private colleges and universities to remain open. Even still, many American students are questioning exactly what higher education provides them and if the price is worth it.
And now we have Caroline interviewing Carla Pennington, an executive producer who won't let lockdown get in the way of making a great TV show.
Thank you so much for coming. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carla Pennington. I'm the executive producer of The Dr. Phil Show and several other shows, CBS Paramount. And I've known Caroline since she was a baby. So that's full disclosure.
My first question is it like now working from home with your 2 college kids home? I mean, my mom's the same way, like I came home.
Everything obviously changed, as you know, for everyone. Oh, speaking of everyone.
Hi! Hey! Oh my goodness, how are you?
I've had 2 college-age kids, I have twins, and it was fighting over who would be quiet during because they each had their Zoom online sessions. I was trying to do shows, so I was stuck at my computer. I couldn't move, and it was like really trying to get people to do what they're supposed to be doing, trying to get them to understand that this is not a hotel.
My mom's used that term as well. This is not a hotel, Caroline.
It's not a hotel. Right. You don't just leave your dishes in your room. Right.
What would your typical week look like prior to COVID-19?
Prior to COVID-19, I would be up probably around 4:30 in the morning. And after I wiped the cobwebs out of my eyes, we get ready to do the shows. I'm in the control room from about 9:30 till about 1 o'clock. And then I get ready for the next day's shows. It's a pretty long day. And I'm constantly answering emails into the evening. And then, get up and do it again. But when this struck, what happened was we thought we were going to take a 2-week break while, everything was being figured out. But by the Monday, the lot decided to close down. We thought, well, Dr. Phil can't just sit at home in his pajamas. I mean, he's, the voice of mental health, and he's the one on TV trying to help people. We started getting questions, mainly COVID related, obviously. My husband's driving me crazy. My kids aren't doing their schoolwork, So we had to pivot quickly and figure out how to get shows on the air. And his wife was doing, the camera with the cell phone and doing his hair, makeup, all that. And then we were figuring out how to feed the show. We did 27 shows so far from his house. They got a little better as we went along. We didn't need as many people, but we wanted to keep making sure that everyone got paid. So Phil's been very good about keeping staff working as much as possible. But it was very taxing for a lot of people because, they were dealing with their kids that had to come home and found out they couldn't go back to school, and or parents that were having problems. So everyone was having a little extra stress, and on top of that, having to also produce shows. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Thank you so much.
And up next, here's me again with Pets of the Week. And this week, it's all about the birds. First up, we have Cluck Wan, as so affectionately named for his stylish plumage. Cluck is a Belgian Bob Duke Bantam. That's right, a Belgian Bob Duke Bantam. He spends his time shrieking and developing his TikTok career.
What? Chill. Scary. Yo, I'm gonna check his vibe. What are you? Yeah, what are you? Bad vibe.
Up next, we have Tivoli. A true bird of the people, Tivoli is the darling of West Los Angeles, where he can be spotted strutting that runway, getting pedicures, and flagrantly jaywalking. Just really living that LA life, And finally, we have Mr. and Mrs. Coot and their cootlings. Mr. and Mrs. Coot are a coot breeding pair that reside on the New River in North London, a canal originally built to send clean water to the city. When this wholesome family grouping are not touching up their nest, or indulging in synchronized swimming, are usually preoccupied by the search for food, which leads us to a well-placed public service announcement for what you can or cannot feed the wild birds in your area. Bread isn't really the healthiest option for waterfowl, so instead, try to offer them seeds, grains, or cut-up vegetables. And next up, Caroline speaks with Sabrina Parman, who tells us about her experience of flying from Florida to Edinburgh in the era of coronavirus.
Earlier this week, my friend traveled from Florida to Edinburgh. She is a postgraduate student at the University of Edinburgh, and she had to go back in order to complete her postgraduate dissertation. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about what it was like flying and crossing the border in the era of COVID-19. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this. Do you want to start off by introducing yourself?
My name is Sabrina Parman, and I am a postgrad at the University of Edinburgh. I traveled from Tampa, Florida, back to Edinburgh, and I went through Chicago O'Hare and London Heathrow.
So what was your experience like in the airports and also flying?
It was definitely surreal. It's really weird traveling. I've never seen airports be as empty or no food being sold and stuff like that. The airports themselves, I'm not sure if you had to wear a mask, but definitely on the plane it was required, depending on the airline. I flew American/British, because they're a partnership, and you had to wear masks. That was their policy. The domestic flights were quite full still. 2 of my flights were about 70 to 80% full, whereas the one from Chicago to Heathrow was definitely more empty. I had a whole row to myself, through those 2 seats, my 3 seats, and the 2.
What was it like going through the UK border on the 25th of May, and how did it compare with crossing the US border earlier this year?
The border, I was actually quite surprised, because when I went back to the States, they took my temperature, they They made me fill out a form. I had to sign the form. I had to bring the form to customs. In the UK, I wasn't told anything. I didn't have to fill out a form. They didn't do any temperature check. They obviously had social distancing, and the airport, Heathrow, I've never seen it that empty. And there was no food being sold. But the actual UK customs, they didn't even ask me what I was doing. Like they usually do if I was a student. There was no questions asked, and I didn't have to supply an address or contact information, which I was really surprised about.
Even though quarantine hasn't officially started yet, what measures are you taking to protect yourself and others?
When I go out to grocery shop, because I obviously had to get food, I wore a mask. And so if I'm in public place, I'll wear a mask, but I'm trying to stay in my flat as of now.
Now let's get running with Kate and Nate and their newest installation of On Track.
Hi, I'm Kate. This is Nate. Welcome to On Track. So how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. I think last week I did make the target of getting up to 9 minutes of running, 2 minutes of walking. I actually successfully did that, which is nice. It's okay. I'm feeling the heat.
Are you still going quite early to avoid the worst?
I'm trying to, yeah. I'm trying to get up at 8, finish not much after 9. But even then, you get back and it's still about 13, 14 degrees in the shade. It's not comfortable.
So how much longer have you got left of the programme that you're following?
I've got 3 weeks, but I might stretch it out. I'm going to try and do 10 minutes and running, 1 minute of walking, and then 11 minutes of running, 1 minute of walking. And then according to the programme, you start the final week doing 5 minutes at the start, 20 minutes of running, and then 5 minutes at the end, 5 minutes of walking at the end. And then you build up to just 30 minutes of running. We'll see how I feel. I might stretch it out longer if I need to.
Do you have longer term goals for this, or are you just taking it day by day?
I'm just kind of taking it day by day. It's kind of just to generally increase my fitness, so I'm not too worried. If I can run 30 minutes in one go, then that would be fine. As we discovered, I'm already doing about 5k, which is nice. Really, it's just to get a bit fitter and get into the habit.
Are you enjoying it yet?
I didn't enjoy today. For some reason, my legs were just feeling really leaden, which wasn't much fun. I think once it gets a bit cooler and once my fitness increases to the point where each day is less of a struggle, I think then I could see myself enjoying it.
When you're not actually running, do you think it's having an effect on your mood? Or
it's certainly not hurting, and it's giving me something to do during lockdown. To be honest, I've been feeling better than a lot of people have during lockdown, but I don't know whether that's just because I get free food and a garden to roam in at home, or whether it's because they're running. But in terms of my mood, it's not hurting, and it's kind of making me feel better about myself.
And do you see it at some point in the future when you get more used to it as being a kind of de-stressing activity, maybe when you've got exams or something? Or will it always be something you feel like you should do to get fitter?
It would be great if I got to the point where I could just be oh, I just want a relaxing run. But I'm certainly not there yet, and I'm not convinced I'll ever get there. Yeah, I have been quite cynical about running, but it's going okay at the moment, and I'm enjoying the process of getting into running, if not the running itself.
Are you growing as a person?
Exactly.
I thought to celebrate the end of my exams, I would do a marathon distance run. I started about 11:15, so it was quite warm. Yeah, I just took it not too fast. When I got back to my house, I wasn't at the right distance, so I had to run past the house a couple of times to make up the distance, and I had to do lots of awkward little loops. But yeah, it was nice. It was a nice day, listened to some good podcasts. So yeah.
How quickly did you do it? I've got to ask.
It was a bit under 4 hours. It was 3:52 or something.
Fair. It still boggles my mind that you chose to celebrate by running a marathon. Most people would celebrate running a marathon by doing something else.
In 2018, it was the hottest London marathon ever. And I wasn't going to do it because I'd been injured, so I hadn't trained for it or anything, but I was still going down to London. And then I think it was 4 days before, I was I'll just do it. And in the week leading up to it, because they knew it was going to be hot, they were putting all these warnings out saying, if you were planning to dress as a bear, please don't. It's dangerous. And I wasn't doing that. And they were we'll have showers on the route, so they can spray you as you run past. And it was really hot. I like marathons, but I just had a miserable time there. It was just so hot, and I was kind of just fed up.
Partly because you did not train for it and decided 4 days before to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't the best idea, and I wouldn't recommend that.
That sounds like my absolute nightmare.
It was warm, and I still saw some people dressed up.
I think one of my GCSE teachers' brothers got the world record for the fastest marathon in a T-Rex costume.
That is cool. I knew someone who did the fastest marathon dressed as a nun.
Nice.
Good luck with your running over the coming week. Do not melt. Adapt your plans if necessary in the weather.
Thank you.
And I will speak to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And now, first year Edinburgh student Alexa showcases her dancing talents from London. Hopefully it'll get you up and dancing too. And next up is another installation of quarantine crafts from yours truly. Hi and welcome back to Quarantine Crafts. Today I'll be offering you some tips, tricks and inspiration for working with clay at home. Not everyone has a fully fledged pottery kiln in their back garden, but that shouldn't stop you. Specifically, we're going to try and look at how to cheat when making a bowl out of clay, how to make an incense holder in the shape of a face, and how to make a game of noughts and crosses. For all of these, you'll need a rolling pin, a knife, a chopstick, a bowl of water, some clay, and an assortment of crockery to use as a stencil. For the bowl, roll out your clay flat and remove any imperfections using water and your finger. Gather some leaves or flowers you want to use in the design, preferably ones defined enough to make an imprint, and simply press into your clay with a rolling pin. Here, you might want to use the chopstick or your fingers to press into the leaf for more definition. When you have your imprint, simply cut around a bowl for a perfect circle, and neaten up the edges with water if necessary. Now for the real cheating. Make the shape of your bowl by pressing it into another pre-existing bowl. I know, right? Groundbreaking. Next, smooth out the edges and let it dry in the sun. But only let it dry for as long as it takes for it to just keep its shape when you take it out the bowl. If it dries too hard, then the bowl won't be flexible enough for you to prise it out. Finally, varnish your bowl with a non-toxic waterproofing agent, and bam, who even needs a pottery wheel? For the incense holder, simply roll out your clay flat and cut around a mug to make a circle. The fun of this is that the face can be entirely of your own imagination, so you only really need to know two things. The first of which being that when you want to attach something to your face, you need to score the underside of both the feature that you want to attach and the place that you're going to attach it, and then you'll be able to glue them together with water. The second thing you need to bear in mind is to keep the mouth of your face chunky enough to support the incense stick. Use the end of your stick to make a hole, and then you can decorate the rest of the face any way you like. To start your noughts and crosses game, simply make 10 little balls. Inscribe 5 with crosses and 5 with noughts. These are going to be your counters. For the base, I decided that my game was going to be honeybee themed, so I asked my mathematician brother to draw me a mathematically perfect hexagon. This took about 30 minutes and made me regret that I'd ever asked him. Whatever theme you choose, roll out your clay flat and cut your base shape. Using the size of your biggest counter as a guide, create 9 depressions in the shape of a square. This is where your counters will sit. Paint or decorate in any way you like. And there you have it, a game that anyone can make and play. Well, almost anyone. And now, another episode of Have a Niche Day.
Welcome to Have a Niche Day. I'm Nate, and today I'm talking to Mark Pitt about his love of bird watching. So, Mark, what is it that you love about bird watching?
I've always really been interested in nature. So my parents, they're both artists, and they've really been inspired kind of by the natural world. So that kind of was with me when I was very young. So I was always kind of drawing birds and stuff like that. But I feel like my passion for it was really in the last 2 years of high school. So in high school, we had this project we could do in the last year. And I did mine on barnacle geese. And that really, really did inspire me to kind of go into bird behaviour. And that was really the main turning point. But apart from that, I've always kind of just loved animals as a whole. But birds definitely are the main ones.
What is it about birds as opposed to other animals that sort of sets them apart?
It's tricky. I think it's just because they're so unusual. So we've not got nearly as many mammal species as we have birds. I think there's about 270 species of birds you can possibly see in the UK. Mammals, you've got much fewer species. But I feel like, I don't know, they're also just really nice and pretty. And yeah. really cool looking.
Do you have a favourite bird? Is that something that bird watchers have?
Each year you kind of have a different favourite bird. So like this year for me it's been the wood warbler, which is this really, really pretty little green bird that you get in the woodlands on the west coast of Scotland. And it's always actually, it's about England and kind of old woodland regions as well, but it's not frequently encountered. But it's got this really weird song. It's kind of this downwards trill, and it's a classic song of the old woodlands that you get. Yeah.
So when you're going bird watching, what do you actually do?
I take my binoculars, so I've got these nice little pair of binoculars here, and I feel like when you're going bird watching, you're mostly listening for the birds. You're only ever going to really use your binoculars when you think that you see something close that's interesting. And then that's why the last 2 years I've really started to try and practice my bird calls and bird songs to really kind of see what is out there, because it really does increase the experience when you learn how to identify different species. But yeah, I think I mostly just do it, especially now during quarantine. I just go for my walks and then take my binoculars and see what's out there. I feel like there's a big misconception that it's all like old twitchers who are obsessed with lists and stuff, but anyone's a bird watcher. Anyone who listens to bird songs, anyone who watches birds in their gardens, anyone who just wants to go for a walk and see birds.
What advice would you have for people who are looking to get into bird watching?
I feel you really just need to go and meet people. So before the university set up BirdSoc, which is an amazing society. Anyone who's remotely interested in birds should go and join it. But if you can share your passion with anyone else, it's really increases the experience.
I was just wondering if you have a favourite sort of bird fact.
Pigeons actually produce milk in their crops to feed their young. Yeah, so they don't directly feed their young invertebrates and seeds and stuff. And flamingos have that as well.
Did not know that, and I'm happy and slightly disturbed.
It is slightly disturbing.
Thank you for talking to us, and I hope you're staying safe.
Yeah, you too. I hope everyone's staying safe.
Now limber up and breathe deeply, because it's time for yoga with Alex.
Hi everyone, this week I'm going to be taking you through 3 simple poses that you can incorporate into your practice. So one is a chair pose. Make sure you have your knees hip width apart, arms in the air, and you're kind of sitting back as if there's a chair there but there's no chair. Then the second pose is a crow pose. This one is quite challenging and I often struggle with it, but it's really great for like forearm strength and just in general really good for your balance. But make sure you don't have to lift both feet at the same time, because that is really challenging. You can even lift one for a few seconds and the other for a few seconds and see if you can move into lifting both, but it's no worries if you can't. Then the third and final pose is Wild Thing. You start in a downward facing dog and lift one of your legs into the air. With the leg that's lifted, you bend it and you spin it round to the other side of you and it lands on the floor. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this yoga segment.
And that's the lot for this week. Make sure to tune in next time for some more great stuff. And if you want to get involved, email us at eu.television@gmail.com. Meanwhile, keep safe and enjoy a musical performance from Ninth Degree, a 5-piece band based in Edinburgh who aren't afraid to do things a little differently.